Shalom, shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.koshertorah.com. In tonight's class, I have to address what, for me, is going to be a very difficult topic to discuss. It's not difficult because of the elaboration of the information therein. That I think I could do pretty well. The problem is, how am I really going to get you to believe what is so desperate for you to see with your own eyes and to hear with your own ears and to experience with your own selves? You see, for those of you who look around, you see all the craziness in our world today. We have global pandemics, economic upheavals, all kinds of strange and weirder things happening, one more than the other. Violence, political explosions. I won't even call it strife anymore. It's far worse than that. It looks like everything is falling apart. If you look at social media, you'll see everybody says, oh, please God, let's get rid of 2020 as fast as we can, thinking that somehow magically 2021 is going to be any better. Gosh, this is really hard because I don't think any of us really realize just how much deep doo-doo, you know what I mean, that we're really in. And again, I'm going to try to get that across to you. Look at what I've entitled this class this evening. A psychic and psychological insights into the nature of the demonic activity that is influencing our culture, our society, which is promoting all types of sexual promiscuity, which in and of itself is a great cause for the violence and instability of everything going on in our world today. I'm going to try to show this to you. We've talked about many of these things before, but I'm going to put some things together now because, you know, like we say in the Psalms, Et lasot lashem, it's time to act for God. It's time to reveal the real truths. And I'm going to reveal to you some, what at least I consider to be frightening things. We always like to say, you are not alone. Well, you're not. And you say, I have God's guardian angels with me. Well, you do. But they're not the only ones that are there with you at this very moment as I'm speaking. There are other entities. And they are with you right now, much closer to you than those guardian angels of yours. Indeed, they are intervening and blocking the guardian angels from proverbially whispering in your ear. Many of you might remember, like in old TV shows and old movies. I've even seen it as recently on The Simpsons, where, you know, Homer Simpson's debating a moral dilemma. And on the left shoulder, they got the little demon dressed in the little red suit, you know, with the horns and the pitchfork. And then on the right shoulder, you got the little angel with the white. And both of them are like arguing back and forth in your heads. Now, we in our Torah tradition have always referred to these as the Yetzer HaTov and the Yetzer Hara, the good inclination and the bad inclination. But many of the rabbis today have made a grievous error, the same grievous error that many psychologists have made in interpreting the evil and the good inclinations as being some nebulous psychological principle within the individual psyche of the personal psychology. Well, that is the way it manifests. That's true. But we are not talking about just psychological concepts or personality disorders or the kind. We're not just talking about something going on in your head. We're talking about actual, living, conscious, sentient. Jung would call them archetypes. And he would say that they are autonomous archetypes, meaning they have a real life of their own. And for those of you who go back into the oldest of mystical literatures, even in the Dead Sea Scrolls themselves, you'll see that the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer HaTov were actual entities. And these entities are attached to us. Those entities that are attached to us that are negative, that feed off of our life force energy. We have a word for that in Hebrew. We call them dibukim, a dibik. Most people would refer to that as a demon, but that's not what a dibik is. A dibik, a dibuk, which means bond that are glued to you, is a conscious, sentient, non-human entity, which is in a frequency modulation of concurrence with you, and therefore is drawn to you through space and time, and will modulate in accordance to your frequency, strengthening it for good or for evil. It might remind you of the words of our sages in Pirkei Avot, that for one who does a mitzvah, it acquires for him, a helper, whereas one who does an evil deed acquires for him, like a prosecutor. Well, this is what they were referring to. They understood this. Our sages, through the centuries, knew and understood the realities of these things, the energy of these things. They interacted with these other entities and knew them very well. No, they did not call them extraterrestrials, because such a term was foreign to us. We had other very much more precise terms to describe them and their operations and interactions with us. We have to understand, we experience it daily even though we deny it. And here, I'm going to get a little conspiratorial, because I believe there is really a conspiracy of silence. And I'm going to tell you what I believe it is. I don't know when it began. Definitely centuries ago. As modern science developed and discovered what, for lack of a better word, it's really the secrets of creation. And science is a wonderful, tremendous thing, which, in my opinion, validates the reality of an intelligent designer and the clear proof of a conscious sentient universe. Call it God. I mean, good Lord, everything is just so amazing in its complexity. When an atheist comes along and says, there is no reason for existence, everything happened by accident. Everything that got together and all the complexities just happened without purpose, without rhyme, without reason. And that's just the way it is. There is no meaning. There is no purpose. Okay. Understand where that mentality goes. If everything exists for no reason, then there's no reason for existing. Nothing has value. Nothing. And therefore, it doesn't matter what you do, how you act, because there are no morals. There are no values. You just do whatever, because what difference does it make? Right? Let's kill everybody. All right? Why not? Right? What difference does it make? There's no morals. There's no values. Right? Let's rape all the women, or rape all the men. Let's enslave this. Let's do all the evils that possibly we could think of. What difference does it make? There is really no such thing as evil anyway, according to that vile, lying opinion. Why do I call it vile? Because, think about it. If you were convinced that everything that you hold sacred and dear is meaningless, that everything that you love is worthless, that everything, every hope, every value, everything that you have is nothing, what greater destruction to the human soul is there than that? Well, that became the foundational thought of what we today call materialism. Materialism is not the love of money. There's nothing wrong with money. There is nothing wrong with being wealthy. All the great sages, all the great patriarchs and matriarchs, they're all wealthy. Nothing wrong with that. But the attitude of money is what has become evil. Now pay attention. As materialism grew, we developed this half-brained mentality, in which we more and more took the intuitive and the psychic and dismissed it, disgraced it, disparaged it, abused it. We essentially raped it, ravaged it, and threw it into the trash and said all of it is garbage and nonsense. Everything is a rational, logical world. And if I don't see it, I don't believe it. If I can't explain it, then it ain't true, etc. What half-brained ideas are those? The attitude, right? If I don't see it, I don't believe it. Well, you want to know something? Every day, like you, I use a cell phone, right? We all use cell phones, right? How many of you have ever seen a cellular signal? Don't tell me, well, I could look at the technology or I see its manifestation. How many of you actually look at the phone and see the signal going into the phone? I'm looking around. I'm talking to you on my phone right now. I'm looking all around my phone. I don't see any signals. I just don't say, well, your eyes are not, it's a different type of wave. I don't believe in waves. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. There are no such things as waves. There are no self waves. It's all hocus pocus magic. That's right. Prove me wrong. Every proof that you will endeavor to give, I'll come up with some cockamamie craziness to say it wrong. Right? And that's the way people are today. Cockamamie craziness to believe everything against the most common, basic sense stuff. And that is where our society has come today. Look at what the social media has done to us. You missed it. And it's like a dibuk. It's suffocating us. With a press of a button, I can get all the information that I want. Like that. I can get every opinion on every subject. Like that. And how many of those opinions on those subjects are true? How many of them have been tested, validated, and verified? Now, many of you, like me, love and live a rural lifestyle. We all know what it's like to plant vegetables and trees and the like. Well, you want to know something? I should let you know on a secret here. I have actually discovered, I'm being facetious now, so please recognize that, okay? Don't take this seriously. Okay, it's a joke. I have discovered magic seeds that I can plant in the ground and a money tree will grow. That's right, a money tree. And for an X amount of money, if you send it to me, I'll send you some of my magic seeds. Now, like I said, I have to tell you, I'm joking because someone out there is crazy enough to believe it. Right? How many people believe crazy stuff like this? I'll give an example. All right, a real one. I had a friend of mine who was an attorney out in Los Angeles. And he would go on YouTube, not YouTube, eBay. And he would sell his lucky penny, which he said he'd kept in his pocket, and when he would rub it, it would give him good luck, and he would win lotteries and stuff like that. And he would sell the lucky pennies for like $50 a piece. And he said he sold hundreds of them. Hundreds of them. Okay. Yeah. In the words ascribed to P.T. Barnum, a sucker is born every minute. Now, of course, what he did is wrong and immoral. And people put false hopes into things all the time. That's what idolatry was all about, putting false hopes into things. And that's why our Torah is so adamant against idolatry. Look at what's happening right now, for example. In the desperation of times, I'm sorry if you think I'm judgmental, but too bad. You have some desperate religious leaders out there, I won't say more, who are saying to you, this year, because all these signs are happening, the Messiah is coming. You will see. No, you won't see. And because you believe in it in such desperation, when it doesn't happen, you're going to lose faith. You're going to become depressed. And it's going to lead you down a negative path. A negative path of a modulation of your energetic field, which is going to draw to you equal and concurrent negativity, making it worse. And this is how we descend further and further into what we call the 50th level of impurity. It is a trap. It is being directed and guided by forces which are very, very real. Let's put the veil, let's pull away the veil. If you look at Sha'arei Kedusha, the Gates of Holiness by Rabbi Chaim Vital, and of course we have this taught in classes. Go onto our KosherTorah school website and you'll look at the course selection there, the Sha'arei Kedusha, section 3. When we practice meditative ascent, we seek to walk with the angels. That's all well and cool. But let me tell you something about walking with the angels. You don't just get there. You got to travel a lot of, in quote, terrain in order to get there. And that terrain, Rabbi Chaim Vital calls the Madora Klipot, the realm or the domain of what we would call the forces of negativity or evil. Now, I'm trying to stay away from a word like demon because we have such a rich fantasy mythology of what that is that it actually blurs the reality of their nature. And that true nature is what we need to expose to you right now. And I hope you're willing to see it. Okay. Let me tell you how we know these things. If anybody practices any kind of experiential meditation, which is not just a philosophical contemplation of metaphysical ideas, but really going on out there into the astral, we call the astral plane, you're going to see all kinds of weird stuff. Dark stuff, light stuff, whatever. Now, Carl Jung, the famous father of analytical psychology, also was a very spiritual, experiential person. And as such, he also experienced these things, and he wrote about it in his autobiography. He knew very well that they were real. But in psychology, he calls them the shadow, what we would call the dark side. And someone once asked me very recently, what's it like encountering the shadow? I said, unless you're properly prepared and ready, you don't want to go there. Think about all the negative things that you've ever done. All the negative vibrations that modulate from you like a radio and have drawn to you equal negativity back. And now you want to go to the light. Well, you got to go through all that stuff. And let me tell you something, it's not easy. Because they don't want you in the light. Because once you go in the light, what happens when you're in the light? You can able to dissipate the shadow. You're able to neutralize, you're able to modulate those frequencies and neutralize them. Well, needless to say, they're going to try to stop you. And that's when you will have dreams and fears and every meditative tradition. I don't care what it is. This is universal because we're talking about a human reality. Has to go through this. If you read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, study shamanistic materials, study Taoist, Buddhist, Hindu, all right, Sufi material. I don't know if Christians really go there, but in our Kabbalistic prophetic tradition, we most certainly do. Somebody is making a joke here from the old 1940s radio program called The Shadow. Who knows what evil lies in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Okay. Well, let me tell you something. You got a shadow, and we call it the Yetzer Hara. And You can want all the good, positive feelings and cutesy, huggy lovies that you want. It doesn't make it go away. All your positive thinking is literally just wishful thinking, and it doesn't change things. Hear me now. We as a society, the Western civilization, have been under a directed assault, a minimum of the last 160, 170 years, as our society has more and more pushed out and dismissed all that other reality. So much so that we say, oh, nonsense. You saw a UFO? You're crazy. Oh, you saw Bigfoot? You're insane. Oh, really? Let me tell you something about UFOs. Carl Jung understood UFOs. All right? When I was recently out at Skinwalker Ranch, we brought one out. And it's not these little metallic craft going around. Those aren't the real UFOs. Those are inner earth entities. Hear now something and understand. There are entities out there. They live in inner earth. They live in a parallel dimension. Some are from other planets. It doesn't matter. Okay? When they wish to interact with us at that energetic level, they do so in the energetic realm. We call it the Astral Realm. So hear and understand this. When they want to come here, their level of understanding, what we would call psychic ability, they never blocked out that right side as we have. We're the ones who blocked it out. They haven't, so they have emerged consciousness. They can as easily walk out of their bodies and project into what we call the astral plane as I can walk in and out of here and go to my kitchen. Okay. So when you and I in the physical encounter one of them in the astral, how do they appear to us? They're going to appear to us in a vision, a dream, in an altered state where we can tune into that astral reality, and they will take whatever form that our minds are capable of receiving them in. And normally, they have what we would call super psychic ability. And they will able to take forms to, or put into your mind that they are a hot, sexy, beautiful babe, or a strong, rigid, tough, good guy. I've spoken with many a woman over many years of counseling who said, oh, in my fantasies, I would absolutely adore making love to an angel, or some on the weirdo side to a demon. I've heard from men who said, oh, I wish I had my own succubus. Oh, yeah, I'd like to have all that. You have no idea what you're asking for. No idea of the insanity of such a opening. These other entities look at us as food, as cattle. They don't want to kill us all. If you are a cattleman and you want to eat steak, you don't kill all the cows. You corral them. You use them. You kill them as you need them. That's the way they look at us, because they take our life force energy. That's what they live on. Nefesh. Just like the Bible said, we are a nefesh chaya, a living nefesh, a living soul. Well, the commodity, the currency of the universe is this nefesh, life force energy. You know who found that out? Wilhelm Reich. You go study about Wilhelm Reich. He knew about them and their pursuit for life force energy. And the U.S. government trumped up charges against him, shut him down, threw him in the prison where he rotted and died. He knew. So do others. Understand now, our entire society has been It reminds me of that scene from the movie They Live. Remember Roddy Piper was taken over by supposed aliens, and he had the special glasses. We spoke about this a couple weeks ago, right? You go see the blurbs of it on YouTube and the like. My gosh, of course that's a movie version, but don't be so shocked to think things aren't that different, because they're not. Let me get to the point. Our society today, because we have focused on this left-brain materialistic value system, has skewered the entire concept of morality and values. And that is where we have succumbed to what we call the dark side. Think about where we once were and how people look at it. Look at where we are today. How many of us are in our 40s, 50s, and 60s and have no families, have no children? Go back to the days of our grandparents. All right? It was normal because the family was the foundational fabric of human civilization. And it created a balanced polarity and harmony which kept most of the dark entities out. But look at where we are today. Look at what we promote today. When I grew up in the 60s, and yeah, I am an old man, don't let this brown beard fool you. I grew up watching programs like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. How many of you remember them? Elizabeth Montgomery, beautiful woman. What's her name? Barbara Eden, another beautiful woman, right? But look at their characters as portrayed in those television programs. They were both, by modern standards, very moral, very tame. And the concept of the magic was essentially entertaining as opposed to seductive. And look at what has happened. Look at where we have come today. When the Harry Potter novels came out, the movies came out, they were so popular that everybody wanted to study real magic. I remember when one of my peers, one of the leading Orthodox rabbis of a city I won't mention, and his young child, about 10, came to him and said, "Abba, can I buy a magic kit and be like Harry Potter?" His father didn't know, and he came to me and he asked. He says, he says to me, "What's in it? It's all garbage, right?" I said, "It's not garbage." I said, "Don't ever open up a door to things that you don't know. You don't understand what's going to come through it." You see, your rational mind, it's just a magic kit. There's nothing to it. You don't understand energy. You don't understand how the tentacles like an octopus grab you and they seduce you ever so subtly, little by little by little. The reason why we say we have 50 grades of uncleanliness instead of just a boom is because seductively they take you step by step by step, down and down, and you don't know what's hitting you. Things get very bad. Very bad. And there's nothing new. You know, the interactions with these entities can get actually very physical. Haunted houses and the like, those are real. Matter of fact, you want to read an interesting story? I'll send you to the safaria.org website. Get the book Kav HaYashar, all right, and read chapter 69. It's surprisingly available in English translation. It's going to tell you a very frightening story of an interesting demonic interaction. The Shadim, these dark entities of whom I speak. The story goes, and again, here, I'll show it to you. There, you see, they got the English printed out over here. I'm not going to bother, sitting and reading this stuff on camera. I'll just sum it up for you. There was this one house in the middle of a city, and everybody know if you went into the basement of that house, something happened to you. Long story short, all right, they investigated to find out what happened. And it turns out that the original owner of this house had what we would call a demoness, a shida, as a wife. A wife? These are astral entities, aren't they? I said they project themselves in astral form, but they're not astral. These entities sexually procreate just like human beings. They eat and drink just like us, and they die just like us. And this man found one of them. Rabbi, what do we hear about such things in the Bible? Go back to Genesis 6 with the Nephilim and their children. All right? Oh, I'll tell you something about that in just a minute. We're going to put together ancient legend and modern UFO stuff in just a minute. But let me finish this story. Long story short goes, this man had one of these as a wife. And they had children. And they were in the multiple parallel dimensions. And when he died, he had no other children from his human wife. And they claimed his property. Nonsense. Ridiculous. We don't believe in stuff like that. Yeah, okay. Read the story. People were dying. Nonsense. They didn't really die. Tell that to the dead person that he's not really dead. Yeah? Oh, you're only fooling. Get up. No, it was real. What happened was this. They discovered and investigated what was there. And one of the leading rabbis of the town established a bet din. You know what a bet din is? A court of law. And he brought the shadim into court. And he demanded their testimony in front of a bet din. And they appeared. And they gave it. Read the story. Ah, nonsense, garbage. These things don't happen. This is old wives' tales. Stupid stuff. That's your rational mind, which is denying the intuitive psychic reality speaking. Half-brained. You can go on YouTube today. I've seen. You go and you'll see stories up there. You'll see some real stuff up there. People know. People understand. For millennia, most of these entities couldn't traverse to come into our dimensional plane. And for millennia, they had a plan to interact with human beings, sexually procreate with us, to draw in our DNA so that they could become like us. Who says that? Rabbi Menachem Tzioni says that. One of the leading rabbis of the Rishonim era. Talmud, of the great Kabbalists. He's not the only one. Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, Rabbi Eliezer Gemizah, they all write about these stories. You've always heard about stories about the demon lovers and the like. Well, this Kabba Yashar story is just another one. Yeah, they interact with us. They become like us. Does any of this sound familiar to some modern stories like alien abductions and hybrids? Like wise old King Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. Go read Jacob's book, in which through the hypnosis, he hypnotized many of these people who interacted with the hybrids. Okay? They're among us now. They're all over the place. There is a very interesting book I dare you to read, by one of the most famous psychics of the last century, who's one of the leaders in the remote viewing field, Ingo Swann. Wrote a book called Penetrations. In his remote viewing, he discovered those who live on the moon, that our government knows well about, that you're not allowed to know about. And he even encountered a curious story, in which he says he was out at a grocery store out in LA, and he saw this sexually provocative woman, and very attractive, and he was going to walk towards her, and he saw some CIA agents, or whatever they were, and he got away. And eventually they contacted Ingo and said, did this woman try to attack you or harm you? He says, no. And he says he's got this freaky feeling that she wasn't human. And he contacted his friend who we met out in the parking lot. He says, did you see that woman? You notice anything about her? He says, what? That she doesn't have a human soul, that she's an extraterrestrial? Well, we call it extraterrestrial. These are these entities who live among us, just like in the movie They Live. And they're the ones who have manipulated and directed our society today to where we have become today now. Religion is nonsense. Belief in God, you know what? You certainly don't want that in school. You don't want kids praying in school, step one. And then they stop praying at all. Then they stop going to church at all. Then they stop believing in God at all. And then step by step by step by step until it becomes bad and evil. You're religious. You don't hold by the rights of those people who want to worship the devil and commit all types of atrocities. How dare you deny their rights? Let me tell you something about abortion. I never really addressed the issue, but I'm just going to address it now. Halachically speaking, it states very clear in Parshat Mishpatim, if two men are fighting and a pregnant woman gets in the middle and she gets hurt and she drops the baby, loses the baby, the person who did it pays a fine. So the indication is that the person is not charged with murder, which means that halachically speaking, it technically wouldn't be considered a vibrant or a living, a nefesh haya, a living soul. But that's one side of the story. The other side is this. From 30 days on, a soul, a neshama, is inside that child. And every single time that that neshama in that child's body is ripped out of its mother's womb in an abortion, not only do I think there's some kind of psychic pain, I'm sure there is, it's a destruction of a soul. So it's not legally, halachically murder defined by a bet din here on earth, but it is definitely a psychic crime. We have become so desensitized to human life that we don't care. Look at all how we stretch the meaning and definitions of abortion. Now, what's abortion about? When a woman acts immorally, gets pregnant in a place which is inconvenient, you want to get rid of the evidence. Okay, I get it. If I was a woman myself and something like that happened to me, I would get, I understand that. But, okay, I don't think any person, male or female, has the right to morally dictate to another. I certainly don't think that the issue of abortion is a legal issue. I think it's a moral issue. I think every human being's got to address that individually. But recognize we're dealing here with souls. Life force energy, which is vibrant and real, whether it's become a living, a nefesh haya in the body or not, it's real. And as we become more and more desensitized to human life, look at what we have done to human sexuality. I think everybody knows that sexuality, what do we call it? Love, right? Love making. We don't make love. We have sex just like animals, right? We're following lust, not love. I find it actually very, very horrible, especially for women, because a man, when a man chooses, I'm going to get graphic. I hope you guys don't mind, but think about it. Tell me if I'm wrong. Most men, especially the young ones, right? When they want to conquer, they want to be with the woman. Who are they really making, in quote, love or having sex with? Really? They're having sex with themselves. They're using the woman's body as an object just so they can have an orgasm. They might be interested in a foreplay to give the woman some pleasure or not, but once they have theirs, they fall asleep and they throw away like trash. Every woman has felt this, and it makes them angry and bitter. And ladies, if you allow yourselves to be treated like this, then what do you expect? Energy is energy. That's why we hold in such sacredity family. And that's why when we promote in our society such immorality, such promiscuity, which has become the norm, the energy imbalances that this creates is toppling the foundation of the energetic structure of our entire planet. And those others who are coming in are intentionally doing this to take our place. Just like it said that the original Shadim have intended to do. And when you read about these hybrid walk-ins and all the like and what their plans are to take over, that's exactly what they're doing. So many of these people today, like in that movie They Live, yeah, it's real. They don't have a human soul. For those who are psychically aware, you'll see a physical human body, but like Ingo Swan with that sexy woman, you recognize there's no human energetic field to it. It's not one of us. And what? And they have a power what Ingo calls super psychic. They can look at you, make you believe anything. And look at where they have elevated themselves. Look at what we consider today to be valuable in our society. The accomplishment of wealth. That is the greatest level, what we look up to. I want to be successful. How? Successful in drawing close to God and your spiritual evolution, becoming evolved and enlightened as a human being, successful in happiness with a loving, true family, like it says in Pirkei Avot, Ezihu Ashir, who is truly wealthy, Hasameach B'Chelko, one who is satisfied with his portion. Today, no one gives a darn about their portion. We want more and more. And look who we elevate. The most immoral, bankrupt people. People in the entertainment industry, whether it be in the music entertainment or people in Hollywood. And what do we hear from them over and over again? Drug problems, alcohol problems, immorality problems, right? And these people, we give them millions and millions of dollars. Why? So they can act, which is filming a lie. We have created an industry of lies. That is what the movies and televisions, it's beyond entertainment now. We've created a complete false reality. And we praise these people. We elevate these people. Ew. What do they have to offer? Take a look at the people who are truly wise, whether they be great sages of our faith or others. Those are, in quote, rock stars. How come they're not out there making millions and millions? Okay? And then people who know how to throw a ball. We give them tens and tens and millions of dollars. And they go out there and they say, I endorse this one for president and you should act like this and we should be like that. Who the heck are these people? They don't even understand the reality of life, and we elevate them. This is idolatry today. You must understand that all of these influences, they are not mythological. You don't have a little demon with a pitchfork poking you in the tushy, all right, in the rear end. But you have psychological, psychic, they're the same impressions which are pushing at you, motivating you, trying to ensnare and trap you, bringing us down level by level by level by level. And we see it today so clearly in what's happening in the social upheavals, right? What the people do, they're destroying every reference to God and religion. They're praising every aspect of immorality and depravity. This is what they want. A complete reversal, a complete destruction of everything that we have held dear. And that's the reality of where we are at today. This is why there is such violence. These people who are acting violent all over the world, if you could actually sit them down in a psychoanalytic setting and say, okay, recently, this happened just this last weekend, a teacher in a French school shared some pictures from the old, I think it was the Charlie Hebdo. How do you pronounce it? Charlie Hebdo? Charlie Hebdo. Okay. Rebbitzin knows better than me. And they just, shared some pictures. Well, some of the Muslim members of his class were offended. They went and told one of their family members. The family member went and found the teacher and beheaded him. Took a knife and slit his head off in the middle of the street, right in the middle of Paris. He's probably was proud of his behavior, and the French police shot him dead. And he dies as a martyr, and they'll praise him, and they think that's all well and good. Where's the morals in this? Right? Look at what's happening here in the streets of the cities in the United States of America. Cities like Seattle and Portland and Chicago and New York. This concept of defunding the police. Well, the people who are most protected by the police are the ones who are most objecting to that. Because we all know the nature of evil. And we must recognize rationality before irrationality completely is victorious. Look what's happening in Israel today with the COVID stuff. Look at this global lockdown. You know, yeah, the COVID virus is a killer. It's clearly bad stuff. We get that. But 100 years ago, we had what was called the Spanish flu. 50 million people, I think, died of that. There's never any kind of economic lockdown. People did then what best they could do, and so could we. But we created a solution which was worse than a problem. And we've created so much problems because we're not thinking things through. We are taking things in desperation. And this is where we are at today. And we know the concept of false news, but none of us really bother to investigate to see what real false news is. If I tell you you got to stay energetically balanced in harmony, which means, being moral with your values, don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, don't sleep around, don't take drugs, get drunk and all that, balance your energy. How many people are going to say, yeah, okay, Rabbi, sure. You're not going to listen. This was my frustration when I began this class. You're not listening. When I here at our KosherTorah school, I try to separate from all my peers. That's why I choose the rural lifestyle. I don't want to be there with you. You got to come out of there. You got to come out of that influence, and you got to get back to normal. Yeah, that's what this is all about. That's always been the prophetic message. You need to learn experience. I don't want you to take my word for it. I'm just another voice out there. You have to experience these things for yourselves. You need the experience of what I call experiential prophecy, experiential meditation. There is a technique, a way, and a means, 101 different ways, but you need to be able to bond with that which we call holiness. I saw recently, the Rabbinit showed me this actually, someone who recently, I remember, was heavily involved in one of the Hasidic movements lately, and recently has chosen to embrace a foreign god, which was known as the eater of children. Did you ever hear of like Kali worship out in India? Go into the Indiana Jones, the second movie, where they're like ripping people's hearts out and stuff like that. That's Kali Yuga worship. That's like really, really evil stuff. But they're just eating souls. They're just stealing energy. All right? And people think that this is a good thing. They don't associate the negative. They blur out. It's like taking an eraser and they erase all the negative so that you don't see it, but it's still there. Think about this. There's a scratching at the back of my door. And there's this gorgeous, beautiful tiger. Oh, the tiger is so gorgeous. Robinson knows. She knows I love animals. And if there was ever a big 600-pound Bengal tiger at the door, she knows I'm insane enough. I'd open the door and give it a hug. Well, the thing would probably just rip at my throat and kill me. Why? Because that's what tigers do. What do you expect? Go see that movie. What was it called? Pi? Life of Pi? Something like that. The kid with the tiger on the boat. Very, very beautiful film if you've never seen it. Okay? Think of many of you might have seen videos. You go on to YouTube and you see these big alligators. They walk across golf course. They're all over the place, right? The Rebbitzin knows. I see these, and I say like a child, I say, I want one. She thinks I'm totally insane. She's probably right. I mean, I'm a 600-pound alligator. I saw this one thing, this woman, she was brushing its back, and it said, yeah. You know, these are fantasies, all right? You can't have a 600-pound alligator as a pet. Oh, I do. Good for you. If you were going to bring your 600-pound alligator over here, and I said, oh, I think I'm going to pet it. I think I'm going to have one less arm before it takes the rest of me. Do you realize the things that we're dealing with in society are just as dangerous? But we look at them, I'm trying to say, oh, sweet little Bengal tiger I'd love to hug. Oh, a sweet little 600-pound alligator, which I'd love to have. Yeah. Why don't I just have a nuclear bomb right here at my desk? It has like that little red button you can push, and I'm going to play with it. I'm not going to press it too hard, right? I'm just going to play with it. And then, that's what we do every day. And we don't realize it. And slowly, slowly, they are sucking the life out of us. They, whoever they are, they have an agenda against us. It goes back a long way. Go to my disclosure essays. I talk all about it right on the front page of our Kosher Torah school. And just for the note, I have an essay here. I haven't published it yet. It's called Real Kabbalah. I'll have it out to you soon. This is going to be our premier message about what real experiential prophecy, meditation is all about, and what our school is all about. And I can't tell you how important this is. And in the few minutes that we have left, I want to show you something. You should be able to see in the notes here, whatever the heck they call it, a link to something called, here, I'll bring it right up there, a prayer for protection and psychic defense. I'm trying to read it backwards here. That shows you how wise I am. All right, this is taken from old sources. All right, and it's specifically to try to push away those negative energy forces. I'm not going to get into all the details now about how a recitation of an angelic name or holy names works. Just recognize that the visualization, the conceptualization of it, all the more so if you mouth it out in a whisper, because according to our traditions, you're not supposed to recite it out loud. You create the positivity, and you project that positivity out, and it's supposed to clean this stuff out. Many of you might be familiar with a very famous prayer that is traditionally recited before we go to bed at night. In Hebrew, it's Mimeni Michael Smoli Gabriel Melifanai Oriel Me'achara Raphael Ve'al Shishchinatel. To my right is Michael, to my left is Gabriel, before me is Ariel, behind me is Raphael, and upon my head is the Shekhinah of God. Well, that creates the psychic shield. But the psychic shield is stronger than that. And this prayer for protection and psychic defense has the real names in it. You can see there's the Hebrew. And yeah, I translated the whole thing in English for you. It's available. It's online. And this is something that I'm going to encourage you to recite on a regular basis. All right? In the name of Hashem, creator of the universe, and there are the names, may the three angels be at my right, three angels at my left. Why 3, 3? And you'll see before me 3, after me 3, the 12. Power of the 12. Sefer Yetzirah stuff. Go take my Sefer Yetzirah stuff on YouTube and the like. All right, above my head, you got these 2 big names. These names are very, very powerful names. I'm not going to tell you sources because I don't want you going into places you don't need to be going into. Their numerical values are very significant. They indicate to us the source of a power, of a psychic, powerful voice, if you will, a voice which is telepathic, which comes from beyond the Madura Klipot, from that higher angelic realm, and can tap into us, and therefore be a channel to literally push away the negativity. So this is it. In the name of Hashem, in the name of God, created the universe, may these 3 be on my right, these 3 on my left, these 3 before me, these 3 behind me and above my head. so and so. And may they protect me from all harm, from all danger, from all enemies. May God be with me to protect me now and forevermore. Amen. Real simple. You don't need a long, drawn-out stuff. But you got to not just recite words. You got to believe it. Visualize it. Because I'm telling you, you don't believe me, and I know you don't. You are not only under psychic attack right now. You are under psychic slavery. They've already won. Our entire society and everything about it shows they have already won. Only individuals are going to make it out. And if you want to be one of those individuals, you got to do the right thing. The way out is not going to be to the right. It's not going to be to the left. It's not going to be punching and duking your way out. It's going to be by going up, connecting. The old Ma'aseh Merkava way, which is the only way out. So as the whole world goes down further and further into this 50th level of uncleanliness, where in which the whole thing's going to have to be scrapped. And we know that's coming because you're seeing it all around us right now. This is only the beginning. The only way out is up. That's what I'm hopefully trying to provide here at our KosherTorah school for you. And I hope and pray that you guys are going to take this stuff seriously. Because it's not about the hocus pocus little evil demons out there poking you with the pitchfork. They're in your mind. They're in your psychology. And they are real. They're not just constructs of the imagination. You can't work through this psychiatrically or psychologically. You have to fight this psychically and energetically. If you make yourself strong and you stop calibrating with those energies, then they'll stop coming to you. You start calibrating with the right energies, they will start coming to you. And it's all up to you. That's really what it works out to. So therefore, do not be seduced by the dark side of the force. I remember I used to joke with, my son. We saw these t-shirts years ago. They say, "Come to the dark side. We serve cookies." Oh, so joining the dark side is such a nice thing. I can get cookies there. And then the flip side of the t-shirt said, "Are you surprised that we lied about the cookies?" We didn't get any cookies. You see, that's it. You're never going to take a poison if it tastes bitter, but you will if it tastes sweet. You're never going to succumb to something dark if you think it's dark, but if you think it's light. How many of us today see portrayed in the films how cool it is, romantic, hot, and sexy, to be with the vampire, to be with the werewolf, to be with the occultists? Yeah, that's cool, man. I like that. I've seen all these TV shows and like, yeah, I like that. That's cool. No, you have no idea. Those portrayals are intentionally, deceptively lies. And they are seducing you and bringing you in, creating that shift of energy so they suck into you and tap into you. And you will go down as they did. My time and this time is done. I got across as best as I could. I guess what needed to be gotten across. The rest is up to you. Use this. Use it. Try it. All right? See if it works. That's my challenge to you. See what happens. The more you create light, the more you dispel darkness. The more you separate from this culture and everything in it, the stronger you become. That's why you'll find people of all religious faiths, the real ones, whether it be the Haredim of the Jews, the Sufi, others, they separate from all this secular culture. Even if they live in the middle of cities, they separate. Very smart. You should stop watching all those dumb, stupid TV shows of today. You really got to watch TV? Go watch Green Acres. All right? Go watch Hogan's Heroes. Go watch some of the old stuff that was actually funny, as opposed to this dark and evil stuff which twists the mind and destroys the heart. You think about it and see for yourselves. All righty, guys. Ariel Tzadok here. KosherTorah School. wishing you guys God's blessings. What can I say? Check us out online. See all the good and hopefully good stuff we have for you. And God be willing, we'll be in touch with you next time. Thanks all for listening. God bless.